Good morning, everyone. Welcome to See More People. And I must say, it's always a highlight of my week when we bring on the marketing gurus to actually help us generate more leads. As you know, with Impact Training and the National Sales Academy, we help people in conversion and making sure they manage their leads. But we go to the experts. And there's no one better that I know. That's Richard Toutounji, who's the CEO of Com Marketing. He's helped thousands of businesses and individuals generate significant qualified leads so they have lots of conversation. And today we're going to be using a great word. It's called domination. So let's hand it over to the master and let's see how we can dominate on Facebook. So welcome, Richard.
Yeah, welcome, Steve. Welcome, crew. Good to have everybody here. Yeah, today you said let's talk about Facebook. So I think a lot of people know how to use Facebook ads, Steve. And even if you don't know, you probably get the concept of it. If you put ads out there, what you want to do is get people to either click or buy or engage or some kind of outcome that you want. And there's a few different outcomes you get Facebook to do. But the reason why domination, because, Facebook is probably not as easy as, it's easy now, but there's more people on the platform. So you have to consistently understand how you are going to dominate this platform. Otherwise, the platform will just cost you a lot of money. And it would be like letterbox advertising probably in a few years to say, yeah, doing that Facebook thing, but not really sure how to do it. So I just think, maybe I'm biased to the topic, but in regards to, I think the most important things you put your time in it's marketing and sales in your company. If you're wanting to grow the business, if you're happy with kind of like where you're at, you probably don't need it. But for those who want to grow, and I'm assuming that's what everybody's here for, that's when you're going to need to understand the platforms or understand, should I get someone to do it or what it's about. So hopefully I can share that today, Steve.
Oh, terrific. Because look, when social media started many, many years ago, it was just a fun thing, but now it's become a significant business. And I would suggest it will almost become a university course to be able to know all the nuances and the changes. Just last week, more changes to the algorithm. So having an ABCs to start off with, I think is critical, because I don't think there's any business that doesn't want to grow. So we're not looking at growth in actually volume and also in EBITDA. Well, we shouldn't be in business. So I'll be listening and taking lots of notes as per normal.
All right. So, listen, Steve, I've got a lot of things I can go through. So I don't know if you want to do a bit of a Q&A of what people are looking for, but maybe if I can kind of just open up the questions around what is the biggest struggle with this concept of Facebook ads. I'd love to know maybe from who we got, Joey or Amanda or Darren, like what is the one or two things that when you hear Facebook ads, what do you think of, like positive or negative? If you want to unmute yourself or put in the chat, that would be amazing. And then I could probably choose the right information to give you guys today.
That's a good idea. So let's start with Joey. I'm going to pull him out. He's quite a social media fiend. He sits back and does his stuff. He's an incredible leader, but also he's very savvy in this area of technology. So Joey, I'm going to throw it over to you, mate. You've got a question for Richard of something that you'd like to learn about Facebook ads.
Yeah. At the moment, the challenge with my work is it's a little bit different. For me, it's just convincing them the possibility of what Facebook ads can actually do for a business and getting qualified leads to us versus more of an outbound process that we currently have. So mine's a bit more of a different, it's a bit of a different challenge as such. And it's trying to get management to take on Facebook ads. So that currently doesn't happen. I'm not sure.
You're wanting to get someone to do something that's not in their, let's say, their realm of in their ethos. What you need to do is you need to find out their problem, and you then say, well, this is how we're going to fix it. So might be a good idea for Richard to explain to you how you could how Facebook works. So you can say, well, if you've got a lead problem, we need to go and do Facebook ads to create it. What's the other?
That's actually good. And so, Joey, what is the problem of the business? Do they want to grow their company?
Yeah, absolutely. More sales, I guess, ideal for any business. Qualified leads.
Qualified leads is what they want. And is there a shortage of qualified leads?
Yes.
Okay. And they've got a sales team, I'm assuming?
Yep.
And the sales team need leads, right?
Yep.
And then the sales team, do they blame the marketing team that got no leads?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So yeah, that's what everybody does. So it's a marketing and sales conversation here. And I think that's a good conversation to have. Just so you know a bit of background here. So when I guess we've had marketing for the last 5 years, and prior to that, we've had marketing for 8 years, but we got involved with businesses that had bad reputation. And so they will traditionally go to PR and fix up their reputation. And so we had to I spent my whole life convincing organizations, large organizations, and then community organizations, why they need to use these kind of platforms. And it's a hard job. It's a really hard job. But at the end of the day is that I believe that organizations that have got smart people involved in there, if they've got you, they've got you for a reason. I think if they've got an open mind, they want to be proven wrong. And a lot of the time we can do this in test budget. So to get your message across, it's almost like you've got to give something to them to see so they can feel and see what the difference is. But if you just quickly go that and then we'll go to our topic. But at the end of the day, if we look at any kind of media spend, and I don't have the slides for that, but any kind of, data sort of stuff, if you look at the data of the spend on radio and TV, normal media, and then look at the data of new media, you can just pull up the comparisons. And if they're looking at, my other companies that I'm following aren't doing it, they just need to look at the data and the trends that's happening that way. And then they can you can kind of convince them that way and say, hey, we should actually start with the budget. And I think at the end of the day, the easiest way to get this across, and this is to anybody, Amanda, Joey, anybody watching this in live or replay, is that we want to understand what a customer is worth. And for a traditional business, they probably know what their customer costs them to get. So if it's a salesperson or if it's mainstream media, if you could just get that number off anybody, I'd love you guys to do that right now. Let's just do that right now. So tell me, what is a client worth to you? That's number one. And I learned this off the great man, Steve. What is a client worth to you? Just write that number down, and you might just put in the chat on the side, and then we'll get into it. What's a client worth to you? You can calculate this over on an average. If they stay with you for 12 months or 6 months, or don't go too complex because we're not counting referrals and all that kind of stuff. But if you can just throw it out, Joey, do you know what a customer is worth for your company?
Yeah, absolutely. Minimum 50K.
50K, easy. Do you know what it costs to get a customer so far? Any idea?
At the moment, they don't use any Facebook or social media resources. It's just current contacts. So they'll have someone who'll come on board. They'll use their contacts or referral list, or maybe like a LinkedIn. So, I mean, if you think of it, it's the cost of a salary. If you're depending on how much.
So it's the cost of a salary. Yeah. So that's why you can break it down. So a sales role, right? Do you want to give an estimate of super commissions? What would a salesperson receive in an annualized year?
Yeah. So I would say the median for our company at the moment is anywhere within like the 80K plus, cool. Some 100K plus, depending on what their role is.
Put 100K, and then how many sales would that person get per se?
Yep. To give you a bit of an outline, our top salesperson did this year so far, year to date, was 25 million.
Yep.
Through his contacts list, but I mean, second to that would be 2.5 million.
And that would be, and dividing by 50K, is that what you're looking at?
Yeah.
Okay.
50K is the bare minimum. Some people do a lot more, but
So
look, this is bare minimum, 50K.
So Joey, they generated 25 million for the company, or 2 million for the company. There's a range that they're generating that sort of revenues for the company. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. So the top salesperson who's been with the company he's one of the partners now. He's been made one of the partners. He's been there for 5 years. This year he generated 25 mil. That's based on his contact list that have been repeat buys as well, though. Yep. So the second salesperson, who is quite new to the business, only about 5 to 6 months into the business, has generated so far 2.5 mil. But that particular person comes from a finance background of about 8 years, so he's got a significant referral list, and that he's sort of gotten onto the business. But the third, fourth, and fifth are probably around at the moment, just under the $1 million mark, if not less.
Cool. All right. So to scale a business, you're going to have the top tier 10%ers. But if they want scalability, you have to prove that, okay, to get the $1 million kind of people, let's say $1 million divided by you said 50 grand, you're looking at 20 sales a year divided by 12. You're looking at 1.6 sales a month. Let's say 2 sales a month around it up.
Yeah, it's not much.
Yeah. So the wage of that 100,000, you said a wage of about 100,000 divided by divided by 12, divided by 2. So each sale, in a rough estimate, is costing about four grand per sale, per salesman. So 8 grand wage, they're getting 2 sales. That's what that's worth. So you've got to now say, okay, well, apart from the top tier, you're always going to have the Michael Jordans out there. That's what they do, right? But if you want a scalability, we're not going to get 1,000 of those guys. So you now got to say, okay, so you can either pay a salesman $100,000, or we could generate 2 sales if you spent Facebook $8,000 a month. That's exactly how I would approach the company. And I would say, okay, that's the worst case. Now, they're going to say, well, I want the 100% guarantee. And so to get a 100% guarantee, yes, they need to take a risk. So I would always say, give it a 3-month testing period and see how you go. But in the interim, what you're going to get out, and this is for everybody, guys, what you're going to get out is a whole bunch of leads. Now, for a traditional sales team, they need leads. They're hungry on leads. And so even if you don't close the sales, guess what? Facebook's not going to be the salesperson, but at the end of the day, if Facebook can generate even half decent leads for very good salespeople, that's all they need. Without even any kind of sales training, for goodness sake, from Steve and the crew, it's like they're leads that they can call to a degree. And so the question is now, you've got to prove to the company, and this is for Amanda and this is for anybody, to say, well, hang on, I can get someone on the phone like this, or I can generate a whole bunch of leads, and then we've got leads to call. And that's how I would literally work it in your mind, in anybody's mind, is like, what is the cost that this is going to be? Because there's always a cost. There's always a cost to generate a sale. And for those people who think, oh, the sales just come to me, that's just total rubbish, because you've either spent 20 plus years in the business building up contacts, or you're an up and coming, but you have a good database of people coming through the door. Amanda, could I just maybe get another case study from you? What's a client worth in your world? You're on mute. Sorry, Amanda.
Okay. Yeah, that's an interesting question. Our average member life is 5.4 years.
Wow, talk about retention queen over there.
That's amazing, Amanda.
We do that well.
Cut it out.
I went
all right, so 5 years. Okay.
Yeah. But that doesn't include this personal training spend as well. That's just people who are that's just membership.
Yeah.
We don't track that in membership. But, you know, we've had clients with us for over 5 years who have 1 PT a week, and, you know, the average price of that probably over that period would have been around $90 a week. And, you know, maybe they do 40 sessions a year because they go on holidays. And
well, how about we just go 2 years or 3 years, just to make it really safe for us? So maybe work out what the average rate for 12 months is first, and then we can play around with that number. What would a client be worth for 12 months?
Membership or personal training?
You're making money on the PT?
Yes. I wouldn't be doing it otherwise.
Great. Is there such an average? Could we say an average, or?
An average of what?
Between the PT and the memberships, or there's no such thing? What do you want more of, members or PTs?
Pardon?
Do you want more members or personal training clients?
I want more members.
Okay, let's just talk about members for now. So what's a membership worth for you?
$1,250 per year.
Amazing, $1,250 per year. So the question is, what do you, and you know that lasts for 5 years, so that makes us 6,000. And we know that we get personal training on top of that, let's say 90 times 52. So that's another, probably each client's really worth $20,000 to us, but I don't want to wait for 5 years for the cash. That's too risky for me. So I would like to make sure that we bank 12 months only, and anything else on that is a total bonus for you. So let's say it's 1,200. Let's even round it up to 2,000. They take a personal training session. They turn up half the year. So for $2,000, what would you be willing to spend to get that $2,000 client?
Well, at the moment, I spend nearly $4,000 when I do a one-page ad in the local paper, which goes in 2 consecutive Sundays.
Yep. And how many clients do you get from that one-page piece of paper?
Okay. The last time I did it, I got 2 times my return on my investment, so I made 8.
Yep. Is that over the 12-month calendar you're talking about?
No, that's just in sales within 4 weeks of running that ad.
Okay, great. So you made, and they were upfront sales, were they, Amanda?
Some were paid in full memberships, others were direct debits, others were
How many
upfront.
clients you got from that? Actual clients?
6.
6. Okay, great. So just based on our numbers, just quickly looking at that, if a client's worth $2,000, so 2,000 times 6, you're looking at $12,000, okay, over the 12 months. And I know you made more than that. So you're basically saying $4,000 divided by 6 clients, you're basically willing to pay $666 per client. So if I said to you, hey, Amanda, I'm going to give you a client, it's going to cost you $600, you're basically willing to pay me $600.
Yeah, because we have good retention.
Amazing. Cool. All right. So now that we know what a client is worth for you, $2,000, but you're willing to pay $600, and Joey, your companies, they might not realize it, but they're willing to pay $4,000 for that client. You now have that data. And I think this is the biggest thing. And I wanted to highlight this, Steve, because this is the biggest problem with people not using Facebook ads. And it's the biggest problem of why we're not going to even invest our own money. Even myself say, hey, do you want to put that into Facebook ads? Because if you don't know this fundamental number, why the hell would you put money in Facebook when you can literally get something printed or some salesperson to pick up the phone? Like, that to me makes more sense. But if you can work with me and understand the value of Facebook ads and understand the background, then the game gets really, really interesting. Does that make sense so far, Steve?
Yeah, it does. I think it's a simple question. Is like, well, how much would you spend per day to generate the amount of leads that would be required to make your budget? So let's just say you need to have, let's say 2 sales a week. Well, if you're going to spend X amount per day, let's just say for the sake of the maths, over 30 days, it's $5 a day or $10 a day. Well, every $10 a day, that'll be $300. And you've got 2 sales a week out of it. Would you spend that? And interestingly enough, people say, oh, no. And if even in the fitness industry, if they had a joining fee and then they had their direct debits and so forth, would you spend $50 or $100 to create that $1,200? And sometimes they would say, sure, but then they will balk at spending $5 to $10 a day on Facebook. So it's good. It's good to know. But one of the things that everyone needs to know, and I think everyone on this today would know, and most likely the people that are watching in the replay, is you've got to have your call to contact rate and your contact to booked appointment rate, and then your show rate to close rate. So you've got to make sure you know that you're going to be able to have a conversation. And then when you have that conversation, you'll be able to close. So it's not just the number of leads, it's the number of leads that convert. So it's the lead to sale percentage, which is the big rock here.
Exactly right. And I think this then comes back to the numbers. And so then Facebook doesn't become a hard thing. It becomes a thing that works within the team. Amanda, are you running Facebook ads at the moment, or have you run Facebook ads, or what is your view on Facebook?
Yeah, look, we did a couple after we reopened in June, July, because we've been open for a lot longer than most others. But the problem was my website needed to be upgraded because it didn't have the Facebook pixels.
Yep.
So we just launched our new website last week. It's gone live. So now I think I'm in a better position to optimize what I'll get out of using Facebook. We ran a couple of $350 campaigns that were over sort of 3 weeks, and we tested different images with them. But my biggest challenge is that we market to 3 people: weight loss, people in pain, and people over 60. And the challenge with the weight loss is finding the right words that Facebook will approve in the ads without losing the bang for the buck or the power of the marketing.
Yep.
That's my biggest challenge with that.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, cool. So what we're talking about there is attention, and we can talk about that today. That's fine. So it's good that you're running it, Amanda. Well done. And I think once we realize that, I mean, when you say the biggest challenge is 3 markets, I actually think it's great. You've honed down 3 different audience types. And to me, we just need to make sure that everything matches to that person. And once it's really clean, that goes back to our title of dominating Facebook for your actual audience that you want to market to. And once we understand the audience we want to market to, we can now start dominating quite heavily around how we do that. So what I think it might be today, I'll touch on some basics on Facebook so you kind of understand maybe some things you haven't been using. And then I'll touch on some different ways and different headlines. You can go through that. And if you have any questions, let me know. But I think the biggest thing now is just understanding that there's a few ways to market. It's Facebook, it's Google Ads. And what we're talking about is consistent marketing. And without having consistency in the leads, we're always based on referrals. So it's very hard to grow with referral only. I mean, referrals, as we know, is the best form of leads. Obviously, the close rate's amazing, but unfortunately, unless you have a very clean referral system, like clockwork, it's gonna be up and down. And so, we do a lot with partners, but at the end of the day, is that I always want to have a source of leads. And so, every industry has its challenges, but once you get it, you get it. So let me just share some things here, and we'll run through some of the things I believe would be the right first steps for that. Just a quick case study on this. This is Leanne. She runs a makeup business. And Leanne, her website was makeup.com. Pretty cool, right? She had that for years. And so when you look at search engine optimization, she would always get her leads because she was ranked really high. A couple of years ago, she struggled because she basically, search engine optimization wasn't as good as it was 10 years ago, because we have things like AdWords that pop up in the newsfeed. We have things like Google Maps. So even if you're ranking number 1 or 2 organically, meaning for free in Google for terms like makeup, it's not as good as it was because the competition is much more now. There's a lot of companies that are going for that option. So what she did, she applied Facebook Paid into her business, and now she generates consistent leads every month. So in fact, she now generates, I think there's a video here.
This month alone, I think I've had 100 leads come through.
So she gets 100 fresh leads every single month on Facebook. She's paying between $2 to $8 a lead. It's a low cost lead, but then she works her system to engage into a sales team. So she's not looking for that perfect lead. And I think a lot of the time we've got to realize that we're not going for the perfect lead. We can have a system to get to the perfect lead. And we want to make sure that we understand what Steve was just talking about is the calculation of if a lead's going to cost us $5 and we need 100 of those, we need to be prepared to pay $500. And we need to ensure that we have that budget every month to pay for that. And you're going to use that time to get it right. I think it's a bad mindset to say, well, there was 10 leads, let me stop Facebook. I've felt like that a lot of the time. But ultimately, you've got to think about, if I was to hire another salesperson, or if I was to run that newspaper ad, it would physically cost me $4,000. That salesperson's physically going to cost me X. And this option here is way less risk. A salesperson, if they don't work out, you've got a lot of different costs that way. If that paper didn't work out and you had 0, how would you feel? So we want to change our mindset to realize that this is not a short-term approach. This is a long-term longevity. And once we get that, we realize this. So a couple of things that we're starting a Facebook ad. Define your customer. Amanda, you've already defined your customer. Joe, are you clear with your customers who you want to try and go for?
I've asked the question a couple of times that's a bit unclear on the sort of customer that we're going for at the moment.
Perfect. And so that was the biggest challenge. You need to define the customer because it won't work then. We then want to target the audience, target that audience, understand what that audience's pain problems are and what keeps them up at night. And I'll say that again, what keeps them up at night? What's their pain problem? Once we understand the languaging, then our ad copy is spot on. And I can take you through a few things that we've done recently. And then test and measure. That's the most important thing. Just like I asked you, Amanda, hey, you spent $4,000. What did you get from return? You said I got 6 clients. Amazing. If you got 0, we would have to test and measure. What did we do wrong? Was the ad creative wrong? Did the newspaper go at the wrong time? Did it actually even get sent out? So you've always got to test and measure. And the third thing is what most people don't do. They just drop it all of a sudden and they go on to the next thing. But once we get this working, it works. But sometimes people find it really hard to get going. We market in a very competitive industry. Marketing for the fitness industry, very competitive industry. But you've got to do a cut through. So I just want to take you through this really quick audience type so you can understand what you should know and what you shouldn't know. So this is what we call the 4 ways to market on Facebook and the 4 audience types we call it. So I'll take you through them all and you kind of understand what are you currently doing, what are the opportunities for you. So number 1 is an interest audience. Most people stop here. An interest audience is when people say, I want to market to Jenny, she's 50, she lives in Sydney, and she likes shopping at Westfield, right? That's an interest audience. Anybody can do that. I mean, it's much better than, just putting a billboard on the side of the road. So even that is amazing. But I still classify that as a cold audience, meaning that that's the first time they're seeing your ad, your video, whatever it may be. So it's good, but it's not going to dominate the newsfeed. Number 1. Number 2 is, if we go down a little bit, it's called a custom audience. Now, a custom audience is something that everybody already has. So Joey, does your company have a big database of people? I'm assuming they would, right? Of customers?
Yeah.
How many do you think in the database?
As of yesterday, it's 13,500.
Amazing. So if you have a database, Amanda, if you've got a database, Joey, you got a database, we can take that database. We only need a phone number or email address. We take that database, we download a CSV file. So it's like an Excel sheet. You just transfer it to CSV. It takes like 1 second. And then we take the CSV file and then we load it up in the back of Facebook Ads Manager account. So you must have a Facebook Business Manager account for this to happen. You can't be boosting stuff. So you load that up and you put it into there. And so then,
Richard, is the CSV, let's say document, does that come from your website because you have the Facebook Pixel? Then you download that and then put it into your business account. Is that right?
That comes from your actual CRM. So if you're using ActiveCampaign or MailChimp or anything like that, that's where that will come from. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we take that, then we put it into the Facebook backend manager. Correct. Now, the advantage of that, like Joey, when you're trying to convince your company to use this, is that we can now market to the 13,000 people on the database, or Amanda, whatever thousands of people you've had because you've been in business for years. And these people, we know that email open rates are really at an all-time low. And so if your email rates are low, nobody's opting in, we can market to that database, which is absolutely amazing. I mean, that's a hot database. All we're doing is we're marketing on a different platform. So it's such low risk that way. Now, the thing that I love, right? Let's say, Joey, you say, okay, we just got 2 sales last month and we would like to get 2 more of those exact sales. So if those people are in our database, we load them into the database of Facebook, then we can say, okay, Facebook, abracadabra, can you please generate me 2 clients just like we just sold to? So I could take the sales client, so I could strip the database in 2 and I could take just our clients, our paid clients, then we can put them in a custom database and then we can ask Facebook to duplicate those people. Now, if that's not blows your boss's mind, what the hell will? I mean, this is like this is crazy, guys. I mean, let's just talk about this for a second. This is like saying, these are my amazing clients. I want more of them. And Facebook is saying, we can do that for you. Who doesn't want that? So all of a sudden here, Facebook becomes interesting. Why? Because now we can just talk to the people that have bought shit from us. It's as simple as that. If anybody doesn't understand that, you should be in business. Simple as that, right? Then this is where it gets really interesting. So let's say we got that. Then we can take So if anybody doesn't have a database, let's say you're a new business, brand new to business, right? You don't have a database, unfortunately. We can then do videos. We could take a 3-minute video, and I've talked about videos before, or if you haven't, I will in another topic. And we could do a video talking about what we do, an educational video, or how we service our clients for 5 years and why we're amazing, blah, blah, blah. There's so many different topics. And then we can put that on Facebook. And you can put $5 a day, just $5 a day on that. I call it awareness content, on that awareness content, right? Now, at the moment, I don't want to go over anybody's head, right? But at the moment, if your content is decent, good, exciting to your audience, you should be paying 2 cents per view, 2 cents per view, just 2 cents a view, right? Now, let's say, for example, you want to have your content viewed to 10,000 people. That's going to only cost you $200. 10,000 people, $200. So $200 divided by 30, it's $6 a day. $6 a day. A little bit more expensive than this coffee I had this morning. So that tells us then, if 10,000 people watched our video that we thought was great, that served to our audience and our attention, then we can actually target those people. And we can then say, anybody who's watched my content, I would like to get more of those people. And then the arrow down is to lookalike audience there. So let me just recap what I just said. 1, interest audience. Easy, done. Most people do it. Most people stop there. Custom audience. Your database uploaded into back of Facebook and Manager. Then we have our remarketing audience. If you're wanting to do videos and get yourself out there, a new business, or you want to grow that attention, spend about $5 a day and generate yourself about 7,500, 10,000 views per month. Amazing. Then you can always draw a lookalike audience from the videos or the custom database, depending what you have or what you don't have. And that, my friends, is how we dominate the marketplace. Then obviously I can talk about the ad copy and all that kind of stuff. But once you understand the logic of Facebook, there is nobody no business owner would deny the platform works. Now it just comes down to, okay, what are you going to send your customers to make sure that you get a cut through? And as I said, most people don't think Facebook this way. They just want to put stuff in news feeds that doesn't connect to the audience. And if you can connect, you win the game.
So this is actually saying we've got to get smart with our databases. So if you have ex-clients or people that fit into your avatar and they've actually visited your website, if you've got the Facebook pixel, you can draw those people that have actually visited your website. But also, if you've also got a database, you should take that database and put it into your Facebook Manager. And then the people that have possibly been ex-clients in the past or made an inquiry before, and if you've got a strong offer, and then you have a pay to play just for $5, and then send it out through Facebook, those people will see you again, and it will be like, oh, I was just thinking about that the other day, and it pops up into their feed. So it's gone are the days of actually just using Facebook and just putting your videos and it gets a lot of coverage. It's the pay to play that makes the difference.
Yeah, spot on, Steve. Spot on. I mean, gone are those days. Like, if we're not serious about this topic, we're not serious about business. It's as simple as that. If a business owner doesn't understand now what Facebook can do, you're not going to be around. Simple. As soon as that high-end salesperson disappears with the database, you're in such a vulnerable position. If you're relying on 1 or 2 salespeople, like, this is what we're talking about now, is consistency of that. So any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'll just keep going on. I'm going to push through a few slides here to go through now how. So just quickly on this is what you probably more for Amanda for businesses that are just localized. This is kind of what you'll be looking at when you work Facebook, is that you want to ensure that if you're going locally, your audience wants to be between 10,000 and 100,000. And that's when you'll see in the back end of Facebook, you'll see that graph. It'll look like that, and it will tell you where you want to get to. So you want to keep it tight. If you're a kind of a localized business, between 10 and 100K. If they're over 100K, it probably means that your marketing is going to be too broad. And again, depends if you're a national, international brand or a local kind of markup. Okay.
So we're saying here that when you're starting to put your ad together, you've got to have you need to have over 10,000 people in your spectrum where you've actually target marketed your customer.
That is correct. Yeah. Because otherwise you just won't get the volume through. And so in Australia, it's very different to America. America, we've got big volumes, right? And so Australia, it's much harder on Facebook in Australia because America, you put an ad out and the population's big. So in Australia, we have to engage the right copy. Otherwise, we just don't have that market share. So that's something that you want to be looking at there. Let me just touch on a Facebook, autonomy of Facebook ad, just so you can kind of understand where things should be. So you can kind of understand, okay, what should I put at the top? So the top, the value proposition text. So what is the value we're offering in this ad? Why should they click? Remember, oh, sorry about that. Remember, Facebook ads is about attention. You got 2 seconds. 2 seconds. 1, 2, done. Even 1, done. And so your job is to get attention on the ad. Your job is not to sell on the ad. Your job is to get them to read or click or watch or do. And so your headline's got to be, why should they click? Why should they actually click? You can write that down.
Well, I'm just going to ask you a question here. Is the picture that they see first with color, like you've got 40% off, is that the first thing they see, or is the headline? And if the headline is what they should be looking at first, what do you want them to do? Should it be in capital letters or should it be in lowercase? Where will they look first?
They'll always look at the headline first for a second, then they'll go to the picture.
Got it.
So your headline's got to be strong, but the image has to match up with that. And so your imagery has to pop. It has to give them the solution. I've used this with bright image there because it's green. Things like images, we don't want to use blue because of Facebook. So you need to use things that are going to be different to what people are used to seeing. And even the CTA button in the bottom, right? Sign up, more information, download. Like all those tests are very relevant today because sign up is strong.
For people that don't know what CTA means, it's called call to action. It's like, what do I do next? It's the what's next mentality here. CTA is like, oh, what do I do now? Call to action, and making sure that that's easy to understand.
And I wouldn't even use the name sign up because it's too strong. You want more information. There's other buttons. I mean, these are the little tests that you need to do to test on that. Optimize graphic, correctly size the graphic for each ad placement. That's really important. Only 20% of text on the image as well. So you can't have too much text on the image. And relevant image.
Richard, when it comes down to the graphic, it's interesting you brought that up. Where can they get the dimensions for Facebook? For instance, you can put any picture in there, but is it ideal when you're doing an ad? You need to have it a square or it need to be a triangle. Where can they find that?
Cool. I think canva.com, that's a way you can design anything. And canva.com already have the preset images and the preset sizes there. And that's also like organic stuff on your Facebook headline. So canva.com, it's a free, but it's also a paid platform as well. The free platform is pretty good. The paid platform is pretty cheap. So that's easy because it literally has the sizes there for you if you want to use that. We use that all the time. Okay, so let's just go through ad creatives. Number one, use original images. I think that's really important. Original images get attention versus stock images that anybody sees. Remember, it's attention, attention, attention. So if nobody's seen this image, it's more original that way. So that's a really important one. The unusual images that stand out. So you want it like this, you can see that image there. There's a lot of fitness examples here, so I apologize for non-fitness people, but we can definitely go through that. These guys are on a bike on the grass, right? So what is an image that you can use that's out of the box? That's not the same as you would see. But that's the kind of imagery that we're trying to find on the news feeds that gets attention. Because then if they miss the headline, they'll see the picture, then they'll go back to the headline that way, okay? Use simple images and block colors. You can see the background, red, blue, popping. So this is Bondi Bikram Yoga, that feeling when you're not the only guy in the yoga class, will never be alone at Bondi Bikram. So it's a little bit of comedy, a humor, and it's got a guy there, okay? So simple images and colors, block colors. Have one focal point on images as well. This is a very successful client and ad, and there's one thing per image as well. So don't have too many things. Just know what the image is targeting. Use buttons on images. This is a good hack as well. So on an image, it says try it free. That's not clickable, but it's another, like if you're going to design an image up and you're selling shops or clothes or anything like that, buttons are very good because people might not see the sign up. They might say try it for free. So that also works as well.
Richard, can you actually make the image functional so they can click on the image and it sends you to the landing page? Is that possible?
Yeah. So when they click on that, that will send them to the same send out as a sign up box. Anywhere on that is clickable.
Is that a high tech thing to do?
No. I think Facebook will do that either way. So unless they've changed it, but yeah, if you put an ad out there, anything's clickable.
Terrific.
So that's pretty simple to do. So that's the imagery stuff. I'm just going to throw a few things with you guys, and I'm happy to give you cheat sheets, whatever you guys need from here, because it's just so much. But I'll just throw some things out to you. So that's images.
This is an area of Richard's expertise. He runs an unbelievable program called Ninjas, where he has an incredible back end with all of the videos and stuff. And he'll go through step by step, and they have, each month they get together. But before he goes into the crafting your copy, just a quickie, do you have a question you want to ask of what Richard is covered? He's covered 11 points so far. So do you have a question that you'd like to ask right now? Amanda, Darren, Joey, have you got anything? So your brain will be going a million miles an hour. I've noticed you're writing lots of stuff down, which is awesome. Got a question? Yes, no?
Good.
No?
I'm okay, thank you.
Okay. Amanda, you got anything going to, no, you're good. Darren, you got anything ticking away?
Well, it makes it so obvious that why you should do it, but the copy is important. Richard, as you know, you and I have been back and forth about some of that triage copy, not for necessarily the ad, but for those conversations. So if you're able to touch on that as far as getting hands up or getting greater responses from little conversation starters, that'd be great.
From the ads, you mean?
No, separate from the ads, just as far as, communicating with messages to your Facebook networks and those sorts of things.
Okay. Did ANZ send you that copy, by the way?
No, not yet.
Okay. I can definitely go through that. It's a whole different topic, but I can go through that if you want to.
We can do it separately if you like.
We'll stay on topic, but if you're going to have a chat with Darren a little bit later about it, that'd be great. Thanks, mate.
Yeah, no problem. So that, though, what you're talking about, Darren, is even if we run messenger ads from here, that's to continue that conversation and flow. And I'm happy to also do that as well. That's cool. I got you on that one. That's fine. And that would also depend on how we're going to change the ad copy framework, depending if you want the conversations flowing or if you want, them to take a direct response.
Ad copy is something that people really struggle with, Richard, because they'll write up a big long thing, the call to action's poor. So I think to dominate on Facebook, to have the right to the point, not too wordy copy for headlines and something in the body, I think is really critical. And it's where people who are not in that creative mindset are better as a technician or a salesperson. They're not in that marketing component. So that would be really valuable, I believe.
Yeah, no dramas. Okay, let's just skip that slide for a second. I'm going to write how to write a hook, first of all. So how to write copy. Let's just go through that. That's the framework first. So let me just push them all out here. So there's 4 things. There's 4 ideas you can use to basically get any hook in. And this is conversations as well. So number 1 is, did you know? Did you know that? We've found that. So did you know is a good hook. Number 2, call out the avatar. Attention Shell Harbour women. Attention Sydney men. Attention those who are struggling with debt, right? I'm looking for 10 motivated women. Like, that's being used a lot. You'll probably see that. But when you use it correctly, it works. If you overuse it, it doesn't work like anything. Question headlines. Want to maintain a fit and healthy lifestyle. Want to get out debt free. Want to stop your toilet from leaking. You know what I mean? Do you want to get fit in 2019? Well, that'd be great 2 years ago. In 2021. This is a good time to do that. And a good thing, question headlines, is look at Google Trends. Go to Google Trends and you can kind of see what's trending in January. What are the biggest things people are worried about in January? What are people actually searching for? This is what you want to put in their headline, because that's what on people's minds at the moment. The feeling when you're not the only guy in yoga class. So use a bit of humor. Who says men can't multitask? So you think about a conversation and how you can put humor. So you can choose one or all of them depending, but that's how we do all our kind of copy frameworks in that way. We always change it up depending on what people are looking for and use the hooks that way.
Listen to what Richard's saying here. I think this is real. This is titanium. This is platinum stuff. Did you know we're looking for, and you know, those sorts of engaging questions that will say, looking for Sydney men, or looking for women over 40 in Hobart, and all of a sudden they go, that's me, and instantly want to become engaged. We're in angel investing. Do you love property? We want people that love property. Or are you looking for passive revenues and be helped by a mentor, or something like that, that is talking to your market? I think this is a big deal, because a lot of headlines are just saying sale on now, 3-day sale and stuff that do not work. I mean, if you're the only man in Bikram yoga, if you're the only one in your yoga class, come to Bikram yoga, you won't be. It's a bit of fun, and there's a fella just saying hallelujah. So have a think about what you can write, because what Richard's just given you are these, it just rattles, comes out of his mouth like treacle, because he lives in this world. I know for me, it's not where I live, and I'm looking at conversion. He's looking at the hook. So have a think about what you can do here. So what he just shared with you is just absolutely brilliant.
I'll give you some examples on that for each one, just so you can see how that looks. So let me just share my screen. So this is the did you know one. I've just got 2 screenshots there for you. So let's read that. Did you know that half of physical decline associated with aging may be due to lack of physical exercise? So that was the hook. Did you know? Another one. We've found the number one reason women give up on exercise is they don't have someone to keep them accountable. So that's the hook. Now, remember, we're targeting to that market only. Now, even with that one here, we wouldn't run that through males on Facebook. We would just give that to a female audience, right? So you don't even have to worry about, sometimes you don't even have to worry about calling out women. If the hook is good enough, you don't have to say, we're looking at women. You're not serving the ad to men on Facebook. You cut that off. So it means that 50% of your market is not served to that. So your ads are only going to be seen to 50% of the population anyway. And then remember, if you're targeting a certain area and you've got that in the background, they can see a park that they're used to seeing, that's going to get people's attention that way. So remember, I don't know if Steve has said that before, but you know, what I talk about a lot is you never ask a question you don't know the answer to. And so it's the same conversation here. It's like, you don't put anything out unless you don't know there's a problem. You know the problem is, but you've got to put that information out so they can understand and remember they have a problem. So all we're doing is we're bringing up pain or pleasure and putting it out there. And this is not hard when you're in the game every day in your business. It's almost like you just got to record a call, a sales call, or have a conversation with a few people and literally ask them, what did you hate about before you came to us? What was the struggles? And they'll just list off all the things. Literally write it down or voice record it, and then you use that on the front. It's literally, that's what we're trying to get to here. Okay.
Richard, can I ask a question about those 2 ads?
Yeah.
Like, I like writing copy, and I learned a lot from writing copy from, I think it was Emmett Williams, a long time ago. In Facebook, can you write a lot of copy? Because that first ad, there's a lot of copy there on the 55 plus active and ages.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like with copy I do for newspapers or in the days of letterbox drops, you know, it was sort of 3 or 5 points, but that's sort of like a mini essay. Is that sort of standard optimal copy on social media?
Yeah. So there's a few different ways you can write it, but if you're a good writer, Amanda, that's your sweet spot. Like, I hate writing. I go, team that we can write. I like to do video. So if you're a good writer, long copy is amazing because it works. Because you don't have to get everybody watching it. reading it, sorry. You have to get the right people reading it. Now, if they read the whole thing, guess what? You've got their attention. So long copy is amazing. Short copy is good, but long copy is better. If you can give that long copy and really get into that person, that is very good. Yes.
So when someone sees an ad though, with long copy on it, it's not a turn off to think, oh, I don't have time to read all that. I'm just going to.
Yeah, great question. Well, that comes down to the hook. It comes down to the picture, and it literally comes down to the image and the hook. So we found the number one reason women make up exercise, they don't have someone to keep them accountable. So the headline might be 3 myths about weight loss, right? And then you go in with that whole thing. Or the headline might be the number one reason why you still can't drop 5 kilograms, right? That's their pain. Their pain is that they're struggling.
Yep.
That's their hook. And then you go into the story of what you do and how you do it and whatever you want to say, because people will read it if they're your market. They won't read it if they're not your market. They'll just skim through it.
No, that's okay, because then they become qualified by doing that.
Exactly. So it's literally like saying, I'm going to put my $4,000 ad out and there's only going to be 6 people. Now, how many people saw that $4,000 ad? Probably more than 6.
Mm.
Same concept here. So we can split test, short, long copy, but yeah, it definitely works in regards to that. Yeah.
Okay, so that's probably where I've been making an error. I've been having too short a copy.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're not, how long have you been in the industry for, Amanda?
Probably at least half your age.
There you go. So guess what? You have a uniqueness now. Where all these cowboys are coming up and they don't write long copy because they have no history. They have no knowledge on that. So they don't write long copy. So this is where you're going to dominate, because you can say, these are all the women that we've helped, blah, 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 and these are the conditions and all that kind of stuff. You will dominate Facebook if you're just honest with yourself and honest with Facebook. Don't try to copy on Facebook, because that's what you don't want. The problem with Facebook, everybody's saying, the reason why we don't give copy and paste, we do give copy and paste, but the reason why I don't like to give copy and paste, because then everybody copies and pastes and everybody looks the same. What I'd rather do is give you framework. So then you can use your knowledge that I don't have, and you literally can take the framework and write your magic. I just think there's so much people that are copying and pasting, and it doesn't last. It lasts for like a month or 2, and then it becomes old. So yeah, Amanda, go for it. Call out avatar. This is the call out avatar one. Attention, show hard women. That's in New South Wales. I'm looking for 10 motor women to join Fit Start program. I don't love these because I think they're overused a bit, but they still work. Okay. Now, Darren, just back on your question, is that you literally could say, I'm looking for 10 motorway women, or I'm looking for 10 people who want to dominate their sales in December, January. And then you can open up the conversations. You wouldn't have to write that long copy. So there's 2 options there. If you're if you're willing to talk to them in the chats, you could just put the top headline that way. So
I think what you just said there, Richard, that was very clever. Again, you just comes out of your mouth like treacle. Then looking for someone that wants to dominate their sales in December and January. It makes it now, not dominate their sales or lose weight or make lots of money or be an investor. Like with Joey, I do want to make sure that you have a sound investor to actually have an investment portfolio by March and all of a sudden it's like, oh, let's do something now. It has a little bit of a call to action in it.
Yeah. At the moment, Steve, December, January, February is the best time to market, because people are making decisions at the moment. Their New Year's resolution, they're stopping, they're starting. This is a time where you can get people off guard. So anything that you've thought about, just run it right now because it works at this point. But again, I'd say I'm looking for 10 motivated women in December. Like, you can adjust wording, depend on things. And back in the day with Facebook, you didn't have to adjust because it just ran. But now you always have to keep adjusting, unfortunately. Ask a question. Do you live in Willoughby? Want to maintain a fit and healthy lifestyle, keep up with the kids and enjoy the best workouts of your life? Again, we're only targeting people who are parents or grandparents here on this ad. So you know that it's going to be on that catchy. Use humor. I went through one. This is another one. Who says men can't multitask? Tag a friend who would do this. So you can play around with that on that. And there's the one that we spoke about before. So I know that's probably a lot of dumping on you guys. And I'm going to get that link for you, Darren, in a second. I'm just asking for that now.
I think what you've done today, mate, is actually it's been terrific, because what we have now is we have an understanding of how we can use databases and so forth. Number two is now we can say, well, now we need to make sure that we understand that has to be images that are from you. And then we then say, well, do we long copy, short copy? But the hook is the thing that we need to work with. You give us some fantastic examples of the ask and did you knows and the humor and so forth. We're going to have to wrap it up now, because I know Richards are really busy and so forth. Guys, I'm sure you've got at least one question to ask the guru before he goes. So take the opportunity. He's not back for another month. So grab him while the going's good. So have you got a question that you'd like to ask there, Joey, Amanda, Darren?
Yes. Can you give me 2 really good call to actions? Examples?
Call to actions.
Yep.
Who's the market? Women?
Yeah, women or people in pain.
And what do you want them to do? What's the offer you got?
I haven't worked that out yet, but I'll manipulate the call to action.
So I go back to your advertisement.
That's one of my weaknesses, the call to actions, I think.
Okay, so a step here is we need to talk about the offer. What are you actually offering that will give my attention?
Oh, a 7-day mini membership.
What does a mini membership give me?
It gives you full access.
Weight loss, building, reducing body fat. What's the specificity of the outcome and the feeling?
It's weight loss or pain or decrease your pain.
Okay, cool.
Weight loss, so you have confidence or feel proud about yourself. So I have a feeling in there. Weight loss is just a result. It's a feeling they buy.
Yeah, I love that. So basically, I'd call it the 7-day confidence booster. And click here if you want the cheat sheet. And that goes into, like, if you want to chat to them, click here if you want the cheat sheet on that, or click here if you want to start, click here if you want more information on it. But it's about what they're opting in for, I think, is your problem, not the asking them. If the offer is really good, then they'd opt in. If I had cancer and I need to go and see, and if I need to get chemotherapy, I will click on it because that's what I need. So you've just got to get back to your audience, because you know your audience better than anybody else. You've been in the game, and you just need to think about when a client contacted you, what was their deepest, darkest moment, and why did they click the button to say yes for? That's your offer.
Now click here now to find the 5 reasons people lose weight but don't keep it off, so you can have the confidence to have a fantastic summer.
Yeah. And what I'd say is another thing on that, Amanda, just focus on one thing, not 2 or 3, one thing, because then they're opting in for one thing. Remember, they don't give them decision fatigue. Just give them one thing they need to do. 7 days is great. Confidence booster is great. 5 things to boost their confidence is great. Don't do 2 or 3 because it's too much at that early stage.
Yes.
Lovely.
If that helps, if you want more time on that, let me know. I can have a chat after this.
Joey, my man, have you got something to throw out at the guru?
It's a lot. Thank you so much. It's very comprehensive and in detail as well. It's out of my control in terms of what I can do for my company, but it doesn't stop me doing it for my own. So some good news in the next couple of months, hopefully for me, and maybe we'll get in touch and to work something out. But I have gathered a database for myself, which is pretty cool. And so now, that was pretty valuable for me. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem at all. Thanks, Joey.
Darren, have you got anything you want to ask the maestro?
Yeah, you mentioned, Richard, for a localized business, an audience of 10 to 100K.
Yeah.
For a national or international, what's the sort of target number of an audience?
Yeah, good question. I think it just comes down to, if you're really broad, obviously, you want to target as many people as possible. It really would come down to anything over 100K, really. But what I would do is I'd go state to state. I would keep your content. So I'd literally run different ads per state, and I'd dominate a state first, then I move to the next state. in the early stages of ads, unless you're a big brand. But if a big brand, what I'd do, I'd put our video awareness out to the whole of Australia per se, like awareness video content, $5 per state. Then I would run the ads specifically to each state that way. Because otherwise you'll just blow your budget and nobody will see you.
Terrific. Well, as usual, my man, you just nailed it, and great questions from everybody. So thanks so much for your time. You are absolute genius when it comes down to the stuff, and I know you just want to give so much, and it's just great that you throw out the questions and everyone was riveted. So thanks so much, Richard. Outstanding.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Amanda. Thanks, Joey. Thanks, Darren.
Now, for the people that watch this on replay, how can they get hold of you, mate? Because your program Ninja is just outstanding, and you got some free Facebook groups and so forth that you're in there every day, and you're experts. How can they get in contact with you, mate?
Yeah, listen. Why don't I put everybody just to our website? I know it's probably I should send them to a direct landing page, but go to our website, because there's a contact us button on the website, and obviously they go to my Facebook as well. I'll put a link to search Richard Toutounji. I would love to engage a conversation, but if you're in the fitness, go to a website. If you're not, we can have other conversations about our services of things. You can check out a thing called Com Creative. That might be good for Joey. We actually do the services for people. And otherwise, I think just on my Facebook, commarketing.com.au or comcreative.co. That's our service arm. Otherwise, my Facebook, just my name, Richard Toutounji, and just add me as a friend. And make sure you say hello if you add me as a friend. Don't just add me as a friend. Say hello so that we can figure out how I can help you the best way. I don't know. I like when somebody adds you a friend. It's good to have a chat. Absolutely. Well, I'll put that in the copy when we put it up there as a replay and so forth. Again, thank you so much for helping our crew and for everyone that's watching on replay. Absolutely outstanding. Thanks, mate. Steve. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, Steve. All right, gang. So what are you going to do? It's the doing that actually gets things done. So, look through the video again, stop it, take a few notes. I'll put the details to get hold of Richard and his team in the copy. Just click there, have a chat, say hello to Richard if you do become a friend. But it's, there's what? I've got 24 things written down. How many things have you written down, and what are you going to do about it? All right, so action is everything. Wait for next week, and we'll have some more surprises, and Richard will be back in 4 weeks' time. All right, guys, I'm Dr. J. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.